Greetings YouTubers and welcome back to another Toddy Walnuts collection overview video. And today we're going to go through the Scream Factory collection. I spent a couple hours over the past couple days kind of reorganizing, cleaning, changing out bags and stuff like that. So everything is pretty crisp and clean and organized for the most part. So I was debating whether to do this in parts or just do it all in one continuous video. I think I'm going to do it in one continuous video, so I'm going to try not to ramble too much. But the way that I have this set up is I have this little stack here up to about here. These are Steelbooks. And then from the first shelf, second shelf, and third shelf, those are the Blu-rays that just came in Amaray cases with no slipcovers. And then getting into this shelf here, these are double features, and it gets into the slipcovers. And then that continues down to the very bottom shelf, and then the DVDs start here. And then there's another stack on the floor that I'm going to show. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to show you guys my box sets, but I'm going to take those in the other room and kind of go through those one by one to show you. And this is where you come in. You can be the star of the video today. The girls are not going to be in the video, so Hannah and Heidi will not be in this video. Although there is a little clip I'm going to save at the end of this. You can see them outside in the snow. You're going to be the star of this video, and you're going to recommend to me which movies you think I should grab that I don't have from Scream Factory. And also tell me what your top 3 releases are from Scream Factory. Leave a comment below. So let's get into it here. We'll start with the Steelbooks and we'll make our way to the bottom. So over the past several days, we've had bouts of snow here in the great state of Wisconsin, and I've been keeping the driveway clean for the most part. And I even carved a trail for the dogs so they can go into the yard and go potty. I'm only showing you this because some of you never get to see snow in the area that you live. It's fun, but it gets old. And I just wanted to share a little of the snow footage with you. And the trail I carved for them kind of just goes around the backyard. It looks pretty. It's a little chilly. We're supposed to get hit with a really cold snap tonight. It's going to be negative 25 degrees with the wind chill. Negative 25 Fahrenheit. So that's pretty freaking cold. Just wanted to share a little Wisconsin snow with you guys. Okay, so I decided to put the clip of the dogs in the snow now rather than at the end of the video, because I doubt most of you probably won't even watch this more than like, I think it's set on my stats, about 15 minutes of my videos get watched on average. So if I'm doing an hour-long video, you guys aren't even watching half of it. So I'll put the clip in early. You just got done seeing it, so hope you guys are doing well wherever you are out in this great big world of ours. So the first one here is Army of Darkness. Steelbooks. These are really nice. I need to pick up some more of these Scream Factory Steelbooks. Really nice artwork. And then we have Battle Beyond the Stars. And you know, I think I am going to have to do this in parts. Otherwise, this may be like a 2.5 hour video. And nobody watches that long. So here's Big Trouble in Little China. Nothing feels better than a nice, clean, organized collection. It really feels good. Here's Creepshow. It's a lot of work to keep this stuff clean and organized, but it's well worth it to me. So here's Carpenter's Escape from New York. Here's The Fog. I think I'll do this probably in like 4 parts. And then here's the 4K of The Fog. I really like this movie. See Captain Blake. And Forbidden World. Galaxy of Terror. Halloween 2. The Howling, werewolf movie by Joe Dante. Humanoids from the Deep, kind of a sci-fi horror movie. Monsters that want to mate and reproduce with human women. Here's Motel Hell. I know they have a 4K of this. There's a lot of the Steelbooks that I'm missing, and I would like to upgrade this one to 4K. I think the Steelbook looks pretty good. I like that movie. It's a dark comedy. My Bloody Valentine. And Night of the Demons, Kevin S. Tenney movie. Piranha, another sci-fi horror monster movie. Killer fish. Biogenetically produced, and they escape from the lab. Pretty fun movie, drive-in style movie. This movie's really good. I enjoy Pumpkinhead. I love that creature. It's a really cool monster movie. It's a beautiful steelbook. And the 4K, this is a 2-disc set. This was a Best Buy exclusive. And yes, I did keep that sticker. I put it in a bag, but I always try to keep the hype stickers. But this is a really beautiful steelbook. I had to grab this one. That is really, really nice. This might be my favorite Scream Factory steelbook. I really love that. And 4 more. We have The Return of the Living Dead. This is another really good steelbook and a great movie. Kind of a horror comedy. More on the horror side, but it still has some comedic elements to it for sure. There's the Tar Man. And we have the Slumber Party Massacre. These are pretty fun movies. High school campus or college campus killers on the loose. These are pretty fun. And 2 more for the steelbooks. Weird Science, kind of a weird movie, I think, to to have for Scream Factory, but this is a very good movie. I think it's from 1985. It's a movie my brother and I watched probably hundreds of times. I can probably quote this movie line for line. It's a great movie. It's just different that they're putting it in with like Slumber Party Massacre and Pumpkinhead, but I'm glad that they do have it. And the last one, I still haven't watched this one yet. This is called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I still haven't watched it. I picked this up at a Walmart, really cheap. Since they lost the rights to Winnie the Pooh, people were able to kind of use that in a weird way. You don't think of Winnie the Pooh as a serial killer, but they did. So that was my little Steelbook collection for Scream Factory. So I'm going to pause it here. We're going to move those gently to the side, and then we're going to get into the Amaray cases, and I'm going to do shelf 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll end this video and we'll continue it next time with the double features. That way it's not so long. Okay, so let's just jump into it here. These are, for the most part, I believe, to be in alphabetical order. If there's 1 or 2 out of order, please forgive me, but I try to do my best with this. I usually start with numbers and then get into the alphabet with A through Z. So that's what we got here. Let's start with a number. Looks like I have these kind of jammed in here. This is called the Seven Brothers Meet Dracula. And this is a Kung Fu exploitation, if that's even a word, but it says here black belt versus black magic. This was a movie from 1974. It's a kind of a wacky Hammer movie where they mixed Kung Fu with some horror to it, and Peter Cushing is in here. I'm gonna put this off to the side just so I don't have to kind of fight myself here. This is a really good documentary about the movie Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock. It's called 7852, and that means 78 shots and 52 cuts that changed cinema forever. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo. This is really good. It's very entertaining, and you can see some of the stars that they interview and talk to about the movie. The classic 1960 Psycho, which is based on Ed Gein. And then now we're back into the alphabet here. So we have the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. Alligator 2, The Mutation. So I like to do these videos. I like to kind of go through and catalog the movies that I have, but I don't do this just for me. I try to give you guys suggestions too, and hopefully in return that you'll give me suggestions. The next one's called The Alligator People. That's a pretty cool cover. 1960s sci-fi horror. 1959, actually. Kind of the golden age of sci-fi horror in the 60s, late 50s. Next one's called The Ambulance with Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones. American Gothic, kind of a religious hillbilly movie. I enjoy that. I like that quite a bit. There's another sci-fi monster movie called The Angry Red Planet. Here's a more modern horror movie called Army of Frankensteins. I don't think I watched this one. I have seen a couple of the newest Frankenstein movies, but I think that one I have not seen yet. Here's Attack of the Crab Monsters. Another sci-fi monster movie. Those are fun. Attack of the Puppet People. Next one is The Awakening, starring Charlton Heston. And I believe this is the movie where he utters the line, "Keep your hands off of me, you damn dirty mummy." Or am I confusing that with another movie? You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. And here's a werewolf movie. This is pretty good. It's a little underrated. There are movies better than this, but this is Bad Moon. It's pretty fun. Okay, so the next one is an independent horror movie called The Battery. It's a zombie movie, a zombie apocalypse type movie, and these two guys are best friends and they have to try to figure out a way to survive. It's really good. I enjoyed that. I went into this, I've seen this years ago now, but I went into it blind. I had never even heard of it at the time. And I was really pleased with that movie. I thought it was very good. Next one is called The Bat People. I know I need to trim my nails. Battle Beyond the Stars, 30th Anniversary Edition. Here's Ben. This is the sequel to Willard, which I also have, but being alphabetized, Willard will be way later. This is called Beneath. This is a movie that was directed by Larry Fessenden. It's pretty good. Kind of a monster movie. Big killer fish. Beyond the Gates with the very lovely Barbara Crampton, who never seems to age. She's very, very beautiful. Here's another monster movie. This one's called The Beast Within. Some pretty cool transformation scenes in there. Let's see if we can see anything on the back. Not really, but this is a pretty fun movie. Kind of a drive-in style horror movie. Next one is called Blood and Lace. Does my screen look blurry? Next one's called Blood of the Vampire. Body Parts. The Borrower. I don't think I watched this one. I don't recall. I've seen so many movies in my life, it's hard to remember exactly which ones. And then there's times when I thought I didn't see a movie, I pop it in and I'm like, oh yeah, I did see this one. But I don't recall ever watching The Borrower. I don't recall this one at all. It does not ring a bell. It's got Ray Dawn Chong. It's a Canon Pictures movie. Looks like it came out in 1991. This is a fun one. Post-apocalyptic world with Don Johnson, a boy and his dog. I think this is really good. This is another one that I didn't really know much about. I've seen this one years ago, but the first time I ever saw it, I never really knew much about it. And I was pleasantly surprised. This is the collector's edition Blu-ray, but it never came with a slipcover. I'm not sure if this ever got a 4K upgrade, but that's definitely worthy of an upgrade and a buy. Next one is called The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. It looks an awful lot like Chewbacca to me. Next one is called The Brain. The Brain Eaters. Brain Scan. with Edward Furlong and Frank Langella. I've always been a big fan of Edward Furlong. I think he's a great actor. The Brain That Wouldn't Die. The Car, starring James Brolin. I forgot to mention, too, that I mix my Scream Factory and my Shout Factory movies together. It's all the same company. So that's why you'll see this next one here. This is Car Wash. This is a great movie. This is a 1970s comedy with some huge legends in this movie. It's really well done. And you get George Carlin and Richard Pryor. Let's see, the Pointer Sisters are in here as well. This is a period piece. This is a 70s time capsule, 1976 to be exact. When you put that movie in, it takes you right to the 70s, which to me, the 70s was the greatest decade. It's just my opinion. What's your favorite decade? If you want to comment that down below. There's no right or wrong answer. I just really loved the 70s. Next one's called Chamber of Horrors. And one of the reasons, or a couple of the reasons why I love the 70s, to me, the movies were better, television shows were better, music was better. It was the whole nine. That's why I like the 70s the best. But like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. You like what you like. Next one's called Chilling Visions, 5 Senses of Fear. This was a Sci-Fi Channel movie. This wasn't really that good. I watched it once. It was from Chiller Films. It just didn't really feel, it was a very low budget. I should probably give that a rewatch, but I remember not liking it. Next one is Colossus, the Forbin Project. More sci-fi. Next one is called Communion. Christopher Walken, based on the national best-selling book or story, The Communion. More sci-fi goodness. Contamination Point 7. Crawl Space. Creepshow 3. Not nearly as good as 1 or 2. Here's Crucible of Horror. Robert Englund in Dance Macabre. The Stephen King adaptation, I believe. The Dark Half. Was this based on a Stephen King story? It was directed by George A. Romero, based on the book by Stephen King. That's a couple of legends there. It says at the top, King and Romero are at their twisted best. We were lucky to have both of those gentlemen in the horror business. Next one is called Daughters of Satan. Day the World Ended. Deadly Eyes. It's about killer rats running through the city, bloodthirsty monsters. Deadly Force. This is underrated, little hidden gem. I enjoyed it, with Wings Hauser. The Deadly Mantis. Dead Space. Dead Time Stories. Death Valley with that the kid Peter Billingsley, who played in A Christmas Story. He was Ralphie. It's pretty funny to see him in a horror movie, but he did a good job. This was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I recommend that one. Demented. Is that Mimsy Farmer? No. Sally Elise. Directed by Arthur Jeffries. The Devil Rides Out. Boris Karloff. Die Monster Die. Dr. Blood's Coffin. Here's another Hammer movie, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. Is this a Hammer movie? Yeah, 1971 Hammer movie. Here is Earth versus the Spider, was also known as just The Spider. I prefer this title. There's a reverse cover that has just The Spider, but I prefer this title better. Endangered Species. The Evictors. This was a movie that was directed by the same guy who did the original The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Charles B. Pierce. And he also did that Bigfoot movie, Boggy Creek, I think. I believe he did. Pretty fun movie, low budget. There's Evil Speak with Clint Howard. Right there. Movie that came out in 1981. This one was in conjunction with Code Red. See that there at the bottom? You can see the Scream Factory logo and the Code Red logo. At the time, I believe Bill Olsen owned the rights, but he leased it out to Scream Factory. Now it's out of print. Next one is called Exorcism at 60,000 Feet. Still have not watched this one yet. I Have the Cat. Fangs of the Living Dead. Anita Ekberg. This is the 60s. 1969. Kind of a vampire movie. Beautiful fashion model Sylvia Morel, who played by Anita Ekberg, receives news that she has inherited a castle from her uncle. Those are always fun movies. Written and directed by Armando de Osorio. He did a lot of work with what you call it, the guy who played the werewolf movies in how come I can't think of the guy's name? Hold on one second. The name I was looking for was Paul Naschy. How can I forget that? It's hard to remember everything all the time. Not making excuses, but I feel like I need a nap right now. But these are all Armando de Osorio movies. This is not even a Scream Factory release. I just wanted to pull this out really quick because this is a pretty cool little box set that Vinegar Syndrome put out. You get Curse of the Devil, which had Paul Naschy in it, Demon Witch Child, and the Vampire's Night Orgy. Those are all Armando de Osorio movies. And I just showed you the Fangs of the Living Dead, who is also was directed by Osorio. And the last one for shelf one is called Fear in the Night. Peter Cushing, Judy Geeson. This is a pretty cool British Hammer movie. There you can see Pete Cush. So that will conclude the Steelbook portion and shelf one. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna get some water, wet the whistle here a little bit, and then we're gonna start out with shelf two. Moving right along. Here we have Final Exam, another kind of a school campus slasher movie. I thought this was pretty good. This was also in conjunction with Code Red. I think it's pretty fun. Next one is called The Final Terror. This one has some pretty big names in it. Well, I guess not really big names. Rachel Ward and Daryl Hannah. I guess those are not really huge names, but this was a pretty good little backwoods slasher movie. If you like movies like The Burning or Friday the 13th or Deliverance type vibe, then you'd like that one. Next one's called The Flesh Eaters. Forbidden World. That's a great poster, and I have an authentic Forbidden World poster. The Four Skulls of Jonathan Drake. Frankenstein, The True Story. Some legends in here. You got James Mason, who to me is one of the greatest actors who ever lived. Jane Seymour, very beautiful. Young Jane Seymour. David McCallum, who I believe was a Doctor Who during his career. I could be wrong about that. I don't really know a whole lot about Doctor Who other than the Tom Baker years. Next one is, this one's a little bit out of order title-wise, but the original title was called From a Whisper to a Scream, and that's why it's in here with the F's. But this was the alternate title, and this is the reverse cover, and I like the way this looks a little bit better. Although I do keep it with the F's for From a Whisper to a Scream. That's why that's out of order there. It's a fun movie. It's a anthology hosted by Vincent Price. Next one's called Full Moon High. The Funhouse Massacre. I was a little bit disappointed by this, but I think I need another watch, a rewatch of this, but it was okay. It wasn't that good. Galaxy of Terror. That's another great cover. Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. This is a fun one. This is another one about killer rats. It has Stephen Dorff in it. This one's pretty good. Brad Dourif plays the exterminator. Kind of a no-nonsense guy. It's a great role. He's always a good watch, Brad Dourif. He brings it. This was a made-for-TV horror movie, or suspense thriller, I guess. He Knows You're Alone. This one has a young Tom Hanks in it, right? Yeah, look at how young Tom Hanks. This is a movie from 1980. This would have been probably right around the same time or just before he made his breakthrough with the comedy Bosom Buddies, where he and another guy dressed up as women to, what was it, to rent a hotel or something, or to rent an apartment, I mean. Next one is a Ralph Bakshi cartoon called Heavy Traffic. Another kind of a 70s time capsule. And I have two of these, I don't know why, but this is a pretty good little slasher, backwoods slasher, The Hills Run Red. Got two of those. This is the horror show. This is also one of the House movies. I don't remember if it's House 3 or House 4, but it's not that good. The House That Screamed. How to Make a Monster. I Bury the Living. This one's pretty good. Plays out like a Twilight Zone episode. I really enjoy it. Here's I Come in Peace. The Incredible Melting Man. A little splatter flick, sci-fi horror style. Here's The Island. Kind of a suspenseful horror movie. It's pretty good. Island of Terror. Killer Party. Lady in a Cage, starring Olivia de Havilland. Didn't she just recently pass away? I think she was like 101 or something. I could be wrong about that too, but I believe Olivia de Havilland. And wasn't she at one time married to Dean Martin's son? I believe so. Next one is The Leech Woman. The Legacy. The Legend of Hell House. The Leopard Man. Let's Scare Jessica to Death. The Lost Continent. These are fun movies, adventure type movies. This one, 1968, kind of the giant monsters in rubber suits type movies. These are fun. I really enjoy these. They're good to kind of binge watch on a rainy Sunday afternoon or Sunday night. Here's The Man from Planet X. The Manitou. Tony Curtis, who was Jamie Lee Curtis's father. Burgess Meredith is also in there. The Mangler. This is another all-star cast of horror greats. You had Tobe Hooper directed this. starring Robert Englund, and it was a short story by Stephen King. This was pretty good. This movie was still a VHS rental at one time. I rented this on VHS. This was toward the end of the VHS days though, 1994. I do remember watching that when it first came out, and I rented it on VHS. This one's The Manster, half man, half monster. Meat Cleaver Massacre. Message from Space. The Mole People. The Monolith Monsters. I have two of these. Monster on the Campus. Since I have two, I flipped the cover on one so you can see what the two covers look like. It's the exact same movie, just two different covers. See that there? You got two different really nice images. The Mummy's Shroud. And I have two of these. The Naked Cage. This one doesn't have a reversible cover, so I didn't get to show you two different covers, but all the ones I have doubles of, eventually I'll probably just trade, or who knows. But this is The Nest, Killer Bugs, Blu-ray DVD combo. This one, I have two, and this one did have a reverse cover, so we get to see both of those. This is called New Year's Evil. The one on the left, I put it in a black case because it looks pretty cool with that red font and that black cover. And then this was what the original cover looked like for New Year's Evil. Okay, where were we here? Night of the Lepus. I've heard people pronounce it as Lepus, Lepus. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's Lepus, but who cares, I guess. Killer Rabbit movie. Drive-in style. Here's Nightmares. I believe this was also called Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, if I'm not mistaken. 1983. Here's one of the Blind Dead movies from the quadrilogy. I think this might have been part 4. I don't recall offhand, but this is Night of the Seagulls. These are pretty fun movies. I love the way that these monsters look. And it looks like it's very low budget, like it didn't cost a lot to make these costumes, but I mean these monsters are really effective. As a matter of fact, I even bought one on Etsy years ago. I really like the way that these things look. They're Blind Dead Templar Knights from the 1700s. It's a pretty cool story and cool monsters. I like that a lot. Next one, I still have never upgraded this one. It did get a cleanup. They cleaned it up and they put it out as a collector's edition. This is a fun movie, Ninja 3: The Domination. Eventually I'll get the upgrade. It's been out for a long time now. I just keep forgetting about it. But this is a fun little movie. Kung Fu with some horror elements to it. Here's the remake of Nosferatu the Vampire, starring Klaus Kinski, directed by Werner Herzog. This was from 1976, I think. Nope, 1979. I enjoy the Nosferatu vampire. I like the original one. I still have the Blu-ray that was put up by Kino years ago. And I have since pre-ordered the Steelbook, which I think is sold out on pre-order for the new Nosferatu. I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. So I think I should be getting that middle of next week. And I'll show that in an update video at some point. Next one's called Of Unknown Origin, starring Peter Weller, who you may recognize, played RoboCop. Here's Orca, the killer whale. Another 70s drive-in style movie, pretty fun. And I have two Piranha. It's the same movie, I have two of them, so I flipped one of the covers. So you do get to see both of those. There, nice artwork of the killer fish. And followed with Piranha 2, The Spawning. Here's another Shout Select movie. This is very depressing. This is called The Plague Dogs. These are very depressing cartoons. From the same writer and director of Watership Down, which was also an animated movie about rabbits. It's pretty depressing. Next one, another Hammer movie called The Plague of the Zombies. Love that cover. Just that green and that black, and just with the simplicity of the two red eyes really, really makes that pop. That is a beautiful cover. Next one's called Private Parts. Pretty gruesome. Prophecy. Monster movie. Two more on this shelf. Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings. Again, I just love that monster. I think at some point I'm gonna put some money together and get a decent Pumpkinhead statue for a few $100. Something nice. It's a really cool monster. It's a cool story. And the last one for this shelf is another sci-fi horror monster movie called Q, the Winged Serpent. There's a big kind of a dinosaur slash dragon monster that's terrorizing New York City. It's got some pretty cool actors in here too. Michael Moriarty, David Carradine, Richard Roundtree. I enjoy Q, the Winged Serpent. It's a fun movie. And this is the last shelf we'll do for this video. So this is gonna be at least 2 parts, probably 3. It's probably gonna be 3 parts total. So slide these down a little bit. This is gonna conclude the regular just Amaray cases that were never released with a slipcover. And then starting in the next video, we'll get into all the double features and then get into the slipcovers. This one's called Quatermass and the Pit. This also has, what was the alternate title? Like 5 million miles to Earth or something like that. This is a British sci-fi classic from 1967 horror movie. Quatermass, I believe it's pronounced. I know a lot of people call it Quartermass, but that's not quarter, it's Quater. And not like I'm not being picky, I'm just kind of trying to help people who have mispronounced it, that's all. I thought this one was pretty fun. I remember watching this when it first came out. I rented it years ago. It's called Ravenous. It's a cannibal movie set kind of in the Wild West or the Old West days. And this had a pretty good cast. David Arquette was in here. I always enjoy David Arquette. Guy Pearce was the lead, and he stole the show, but this was a really cool cannibal type movie. Very dark and depressing, and I don't know if this was based on a true story. There have been some horrific true stories about cannibalism. The Donner Party was one, if you've ever heard of that story. And then there was that European soccer team, I think was it the 60s or 70s, that had a plane crash, I believe in the Alps mountains, and they had to cannibalize some of their own people, which is horrific. I don't think I could ever do that. I think I would starve to death. I'm serious. I could not eat another person. And I just want you guys to know that if we're ever together and say we get into an accident on the mountain somewhere, and if you have to eat me, just make sure that you wash me really good. I don't want you to get sick. So the next one here is called The Reptile. That's an awesome cover. The Resurrected, starring the great Chris Sarandon. I always enjoy him. I think probably his most famous role was Fright Night, but he's been in a lot of stuff over the years. A great actor. He was at one time the husband of Susan Sarandon. That's how she got her name, Sarandon, and she just kept it for her career, even though I believe she's been married to what's his name? Timothy something. Another actor. Here's the return of Count Yorga. Count Yorga. Return to Salem's Lot. This vampire, Barlow, he's one of the scariest monsters in horror film history, I think. Barlow there. It's a comedy, kind of a comedy homage to Friday the 13th. This is Saturday the 14th. I really enjoy this movie. It's a fun family movie to watch around Halloween time. Here's sci-fi goodness. Saturn 3. This has been out for a long time. I only just recently bought this, probably like within the last couple months, I think. It's got Farrah Fawcett in there. Kirk Douglas. Harvey Keitel. 1980. Scarecrows. Fun movie. I enjoy killer scarecrow movies. There's a lot of them. It's a whole genre all in its own. Scars of Dracula, starring Christopher Lee, who to me is the best Dracula, but there's no wrong answer for that either. Bela was fantastic. And there were others over the years that were great. Scream for Help. Screaming Skull. The Sentinel. The She Creature. Someone's Watching Me. I believe this was another made-for-TV kind of a horror suspense thriller starring Lauren Hutton. She was always gorgeous. I believe John Carpenter was dating her for a while, years ago. And I believe he also dated Adrienne Barbeau years ago too, Carpenter did. So he was never in any shortage of cooch. Here's a Sonny Boy, starring David Carradine. The Spell. Witchcraft, another fun subgenre in horror. Here's Star Crash. This is the 2-disc special edition with a bunch of bonus materials on here. Let's see a bunch of the special features there. And it introduced to us, to the world, David Hasselhoff. And Caroline Munro is in there. She's always been gorgeous. Here is A Stranger Is Watching. Gritty New York City vibes in that one. Here's Strays. Killer Cats. Let's see. 1991. Super Beast. Superstition. I always like this cover too. It's plain and it's simple but effective. You have that kind of looming shadow there. It's just ominous. It just looks really good. Here's Swamp Thing. Speaking of Adrienne Barbeau, I remember watching this on HBO quite a bit when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure this came out in 1982. Oh, 81. But I do remember watching this quite a bit, and I do enjoy Swamp Thing. Tarantula. There's a really great documentary. Even when I was a kid, renting VHS tapes, I was a nerd, and I used to watch documentaries. How many kids watched documentaries? I mean, I can understand it now that we're adults and you want to hear more about your favorite directors and movies and all that stuff. You watch the bonus materials. But even as a kid, I was watching this stuff, and I remember renting this at least a couple times to watch Terror in the Aisles. It's a really, really excellent documentary about the history of horror. It's really good. This Island Earth. Time Walker. There's another good one. Sackhead Jason, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. This is a fun slasher movie, and it comes with a bonus movie, The Evictors, which I also have the standalone movie. We saw that earlier. This is based on a true story. It's a really good movie. There's Trog. Found one missing link and all the terror that goes with it. Possibly one of the most overrated actresses ever, in my opinion. That's Joan Crawford. I don't really care much for Joan Crawford. I know she's a legend and she's made all these movies, but I always felt like she was incredibly overrated. Here's Twice Dead. Up from the Depths. All right. The Vagrant, starring Bill Paxton. He's missed. He was a great actor, but he lives on in movies. Here's Valentine. I still haven't watched this yet. This was a Dollar Tree purchase years ago. Valentine the Dark Avenger. The Vampire. This is from 1957. Don't really know much about this movie. I don't believe I've ever seen this movie. I should check this out soon. Over the years, I've really come to love old black and white movies. Here's the Vampire and the Ballerina. The Vampire Lovers. The Velvet Vampire. We're almost done, guys, with this video. Hang in there. And if you've made it this far, I really appreciate that. Not too many people do. Here is The Vengeance of She. Yeah, my watch time fluctuates. I don't really put a lot of thought or stock into my stats on my channel, but every once in a while I do go and look at them, and it fluctuates. And I think it said the average person watches 15 minutes and 33 seconds of my videos or something like that. So here's War of the Colossal Beast. This one had a pretty funny tagline. What was it? Right here at the top. She wanted only to find her brother. Be careful what you wish for. And this dude's like as tall as electrical lines. And 1958 this came out. It seems like it was ahead of its time. Here's the Wasp Woman. Beautiful woman by day, a lusting queen wasp at night. What's the Matter with Helen? A couple of legends. Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters. Definitely Hollywood legends. This one came out in 1971. Here's Willard. This was, I guess, part 1, and then Ben was the sequel. Killer Rat movies. Here's a pretty good sci-fi horror movie. This is the one that I was thinking of earlier. This has a good cast. It has Jack Palance, Martin Landau, Cameron Mitchell, Neville Brand, Larry Storch. Larry Storch from F Troop. That's a really legendary cast right there for a kind of a low budget sci-fi horror movie, and that's actually it's a good watch. I recommend that. Here is X, the Unknown. It kills but cannot be killed. And 2 more. You'll Like My Mother. From, let's see, 1972, starring Patty Duke, who is, she was a great actress. She's Sean Astin's mother. She was great. She passed away, I believe, a few years ago of cancer. She's definitely a legend. And the last one for this video is Zombie High, starring Virginia Madsen, who is Michael Madsen's sister. Michael Madsen was Mr. Black, I believe, in Reservoir Dogs. He was in a lot of great movies. He was, I think his best role was he was Sonny Black on what's that movie with Johnny Depp? Johnny Depp is the undercover cop. I mean, yeah, he's an undercover cop, and he joins the mafia to kind of take them down from the inside. And I can't believe I can't think of the title because it's one of my favorite movies. Oh man, his real name was Joseph Pistone. Johnny, hold on a second, it's gonna bother me. I'll be right back. The movie I was thinking of is Donnie Brasco. It's one of the best movies ever made, and I'm a little concerned that my memory has been kind of failing me lately. I'm not sure what's up with that. Hopefully it's just lack of sleep and not anything, any health issues are coming my way. But so that was part one. You got to see the Steelbooks, and then you saw 3 shelves, or almost 3 shelves, of the regular editions. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to comment, tell me what your 3 favorite editions are that you own, and then give me some suggestions. What should I pick up? I always enjoy hearing from you guys, and I do read every comment, and I do appreciate recommendations and support, so thank you for that. Next video we'll pick up with the double features, and we'll start just mowing, just kind of continuing right down the line here. So I'm rambling, and I'm gonna end this here. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.